Welcome to St. Thomas. I'm Father Ray Dunmeyer, the pastor. Father Cook and I have missed you. We look forward to your returning to Mass. That began today and it will be continuing this weekend, but there will be some changes and we wanted to alert you to some of those changes. So welcome into the gathering area. Again, Father Cook and I welcome you back. We have missed you. Look forward to your return. Things will be a little different on that return. As you know, we have not had public worship services since the middle of last month due to the suspension of those services by our Bishop Baker. That was suspended because of the coronavirus and a desire to limit the spread of that coronavirus. It's a concern for your safety. The Governor Kay Ivey, has opened up phase 1 of the reopening of the state of Alabama, and Bishop Baker has determined that it is possible to have public worship services. However, there is no obligation to come to those services. As Bishop Baker makes very clear, there is continuing the dispensation from the requirement of attending Mass on Sunday, and so if you have any health concerns, if you have any situations that makes it a fearful thing for you to come to Mass, you are not required to come to Mass. Indeed, the Bishop was very clear in his letter, encouraging you, if you have those concerns, to wait a while before you come to Mass. We will do everything in our power to create a safe environment, but obviously there remains some concerns. As you come into the gathering area, we are asking you not to gather in this area. The name is the gathering area, and normally we do gather here. But we ask you to come into the church and go directly to the church after stopping at a welcome station. At our welcome stations, we will have some guidelines that we would invite you to pick up, and you would have those guidelines. Those are also on our website that you would find. We have a hand sanitizer. We would invite you to use that hand sanitizer, and then we will have Mass available. Masks are required to come to Mass here at St. Thomas. You will be removing the Mass at the time of communion, but for the rest of the time in the church, you're invited to have a mask on. If you have your own, that is fine. If you do not, the parish provides a Mass. So we would invite you, as you come into the gathering area, to immediately, after stopping at the welcome station, to go into the church, always observing social distancing. And so we walk into the church. As we come into the church, you will notice that there are various barriers and pews, and those barriers would be things that we would invite you to observe so that you do not sit in a place that would fail to observe social distancing. There is no holy water. There is a danger from the holy water that there could be the transmission of the disease. And so you'll notice that all the holy water fonts are now empty. As you come in, we would invite you to recognize that there are arrows on the floor and to follow the guidance of those arrows. Also, we would invite you to recognize that there is green tape to indicate the places where you may stand, recognizing the social distancing at the time that you come to communion. When you come to communion, communion will be offered only under the form of bread. The chalice, by the direction of the bishop, will not be offered. You are strongly encouraged to receive communion in the hand. It is a concern for the spread of the disease, and that if those who would receive on the tongue, there's more of a danger of the spread of the disease. Some bishops are requiring that you receive communion in the hand, but that is not a requirement of Bishop Baker. Here at St. Thomas, for those who receive communion in the hand, we would encourage them to continue with the social distancing. For those who feel as though they required to receive on the tongue, the priest or Eucharistic minister will sanitize his hands following the distribution in that way. Here, as we gather for the Eucharist, there are no hymnals in the pews. We will have a sheet to offer with music, but we are encouraged not to do too strongly with your singing because of the possible spread of the virus. As we gather, we will not have the bringing up of the gifts. All the gifts will be present on the credence table and will be brought to the church, to the altar at the proper time. For those who are going to confession on Saturday evening, our confessions will be in the adult education room, where it provides for the possibility of social distancing. Our reconciliation rooms are too small to offer that social distancing. When you're here, we would invite you always to have that social distancing, and so families obviously may sit together, but others would be encouraged to keep that distance. Our numbers that we will be able to have here in the church are limited. Because of the social distancing, we will be significantly less than half of our normal amount of place for people to be seated and to celebrate the liturgy. When you come in, we would invite you to choose a place that recognizes social distancing, and then once all those places have been taken, we would invite people to go into the courtyard. We will have speakers for the Mass to be audio available in the courtyard, and then the individuals in the courtyard would have the opportunity of receiving communion at the proper time. But the key thing is the concern for the social distancing. And indeed, the coronavirus is a terrible illness. It is highly contagious, and it is very dangerous. And so we want to, in every way, to offer safety to all of those who participate. One of those things, as I mentioned earlier, is the wearing of a mask. As many of you know, the wearing of the mask is not so much for your protection as for the protection of your neighbor, your brother or sister from the church community. It is going to be a challenge for us in this process to recognize how we might be able to continue with our liturgies, but we're so happy to have the opportunity of doing public worship again. Again, we welcome those who come, but we would encourage you to consider seriously whether that is the best thing for your health. As I mentioned, the bishop continues the dispensation, and in his letter, he made it very clear that people who are of advanced age, people who have any pre-existing condition, are not at all required to come to Mass. And so those who have those situations, have those conditions, you certainly would be welcome to remain home. We will continue to put the Mass on our website. We will be filming the Mass on Saturday evening and have that on the website by Sunday morning. And I invite you, if your health is such that you are not comfortable coming back to church yet, invite you to participate in the liturgy via a virtual Mass on the internet. Again, when we come in, we're to observe the social distancing. In leaving, we will also observe social distancing. The priest, Father Cook, or myself will not process out. There will not be a closing hymn. At the close, it will be instrumental, and the priest will direct Pews to go out so that we might observe the social distancing. The priest will remain at the altar until all those who here have left the church, other than those who are continuing to pray. And the priest will not go into the gathering area. The priest will go into the vesting room. Again, Father Cook and I would love to have an opportunity of visiting with you, and we may do some of that in the parking lot, but not in the gathering area. As you leave the church, the gathering area, again, is not a place to gather. We would invite you to go into the parking lot. If you wish to visit in the parking lot, you're welcome to do so. We would invite you to follow the social distancing requirements in doing that. At the beginning of each Mass, Father Ray will offer directions with regard to these elements, and hopefully we will have that opportunity to have our celebration of the Eucharist in safety. Thank you so much. We are so blessed to have you as members of our parish, and look forward for those who are feeling comfortable doing so to join us again this weekend for our weekend Masses at the regular times. Thank you, and God bless you.